PHX here. Thank you for stopping by, and in today's video we are going to be talking about a gear set that is highly unused and just you wouldn't think would actually be beneficial for endgame content in Outriders Worldslayer, and that is going to be the Trespassers gear set. Yes, the Trespassers gear set. If I remember correctly, it did go get an overhaul when New Horizon came out. But now with the end game of Outriders Worldslayer doing the trials, it was very difficult to try and figure out a way to make this gear set actually work, just because of the bonus effect that it does give you when you are running 3 pieces. But you know, after some trial and error, after different items and doing different types of techniques, and it's just we finally was able to make a good build that would be very beneficial when doing your trials up in the higher apocalypse tiers as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the build. So if you saw from the gameplay footage, the whole point of the Trespassers gear set is to use your skills, using your abilities such as the slow trap, or using stuff such as time rift. And with that, you know, with a 3-piece bonus, you get increased damage by 5% per enemy affected by the deception skill. Additionally, players can't die inside slow trap. So you have like 1 or 2 options in order how you want to run the Trespassers gear set. And you know, I tried every variation I possibly could think of to see which one would be more beneficial. You know, mitigating damage from different enemies, trying not to die during the boss phases, and it was obviously a big headache, honestly. But I was finally able to create something that would, you know, allow me to proc millions of damage. You're not going to be hitting high tier millions, so nothing like 13, 14, nothing that crazy, but you would be able to essentially get up to at least 2 million damage when you are running this gear set, depending on how you proc all of your skills and the cooldowns and everything of that nature. So now with this, what we're running first is the helmet called the Shackled. So now I didn't really take notice of this, but when I looked closer at it, I was like, you know, there are a couple mods on here that could actually make this gear piece very beneficial. The first things first is that it does run with anomaly power, which is something that you're definitely going to want. And you'll see from this build that it's very balanced between anomaly and firepower. But going back to the matter at hand with the helmet, the Shackled, I was like, okay, so it does drop with danger close, and it also drops with some other mod. I can't really remember what it was, but it's definitely something that isn't going to be that useful for you unless you are running a specific build for it. But so with this, we are running the Shackled helmet, anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and skills life leech. And then for the first mod, you're going to want to run sharp eye. Critical shots while aiming down sights grant you 74,134 firepower for 5 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. And then danger close grants a 6% anomaly power bonus for each enemy in close range, stacks up to 4 times. And then we've got strong twist, twisted rounds. While the skill is active, increases weapons firepower by an additional 20%. This is a very prime helmet, you know, running these 3 types of mods, because the whole point of running danger close is to build up your anomaly power so that when you do proc your twisted rounds, because like right now we're sitting at 361.99 just at base. So when you are getting around those big groups in the very beginning, before you start, you're going to want to proc that extra, what was it, 24% 24% anomaly power. That way, the higher your anomaly power is, the higher your twisted rounds are going to be. Secondly, Trespassers armor, we're running bonus firepower, close range damage, cooldown reduction. We've got damage mitigation. Allies within the sphere receive 40% less damage. Dead clock, receive an 8% weapon damage bonus for every skill that is on cooldown. And then self-medication, increase your max health by 10% when any skill starts its cooldown, stacks up to 3 times, each stack lasting 5 seconds. Now, Dead clock, it is a multiplicative mod. However, it's definitely something that you could run differently. You could run maybe something like personal space, which gives you 12%, I believe. Let's see where it is. Yeah, personal space grants you a 12% bonus to close range weapon damage. You could run that instead of running Dead Clock, just because you're not really gonna benefit too much from your cooldowns, especially if you got a fast cooldown time. So like, you got 3 seconds of 8% weapon damage and you're just kind of like running around, you know, you just wasted that 8% weapon damage. So Dead Clock, it's very situational. I could see it if you needed to use it when your cooldowns are kind of higher, but because of this gear set, because of the way we have the build running, your cooldowns are gonna last maybe 3 to 4 seconds and you're really not gonna benefit from it at all. Next, we got Trespassers Breeches, bonus firepower, close range damage, cooldown reduction. We got instant reload, teleporting instantly replenishes the magazine of your current weapon. A little bit of pain, time rift using the skill deals 1,378,742 damage over 6 seconds to affected targets. And then we've got speed boost, slow trap, allies within the sphere receiving 2% movement speed bonus and a 75% reduction to revival time. So now, a lot of people don't want to use slow trap just because it's not that beneficial. In a group setting, it is definitely, because that's what's kind of geared for, is being in a group. But using slow trap for yourself, using that bubble, is actually very beneficial to yourself as well, because it does kind of help gather all of your enemies. It slows down all of the bullets. It allows you to mitigate your damage. It allows you to do so many different things in order to survive, and especially in the higher tiers of the apocalypse tiers, you're gonna want as much survivability as possible. And then the best thing about this gear set is that you can bounce back between time rift or slow trap depending on how you want to run the actual build itself. Personally, for me, time rift is another very situational type skill, because sometimes you'll get big groups of mobs and you will just obliterate them, so it definitely comes in handy. But other times, like during bossing, it's not going to be that beneficial to you. I would rather run a bubble, and if you absolutely wanted to, you could run both, because slow trap actually does do an ammo replenishment when you do proc it, and if you have a 3-second cooldown, you know, it's your ammo is somewhat non-existent, and I say somewhat because you still have to go through the phase of where the bubble is still kind of proc for about 10 seconds, and then as soon as that drops, you know, you're kind of limited to what you want to do, especially if you're running twisted rounds with this. But bouncing back between time rift and slow trap is totally dependent. It's totally up to what feels comfortable to you. Again, I tried using time rift. I did like the little bit of pain mod, definitely came in handy, but at the same time, slow trap is where I'm kind of, you know, that's my bubble, that's my personal space. I can take out a lot of enemies while inside the bubble. During boss phasing, I can stand behind the boss, you know, slow down the axis, slow down everything, not die in the bubble as well. Yeah, so it's definitely dependent on how you want to run this build. If you want to just run straight power, time rift is probably going to be your best bet. If you want to run more on the defensive side, slow trap is probably going to be your best bet as well. Next, we got Trespassers Talons. We got max health, close range damage, cooldown reduction. We got pain transfer. So again, this is another time rift mod. 20% of weapon damage and 20% of anomaly damage dealt to one affected enemy will be transferred to another affected enemy. Captain Hunter, increase your damage against elites by 16%. Increases, and then Dum Dum Bullets increases assault weapon damage by 12%. Highly recommend you try and find a pair of gloves that have Dum Dum Bullets in the 3rd mod slot. That way you are able to bounce back between, you know, maybe having a certain mod in the 1st slot or a certain mod in the 2nd slot. But for me, I was very grateful that these dropped for me. They are level 61, so I'll probably just max out them continuously if I want to keep running this build. And then lastly, we are running Footgear the Cannonball. Footgear the Cannonball because it does run anomaly power, and that's what we want. We want anomaly power because, as you can see, we are running 2-piece anomaly powers and then 2-piece bonus fire powers with a max health glove. So we got cooldown reduction, skills life leech, we got arms and anomaly, critical shots increase your anomaly power by 209,205 for 6 seconds. We got Phantom Dash. Definitely prefer Phantom Dash over the roll just because it feels smoother and it feels a little bit quicker. So you'll be phasing rather than rolling. And then we got Diffuse. The sprinting increases your armor by 207,000 and resistance by 50%. Diffuse is actually a very good mod. It's not, you know, it's not the best mod because you need to ask yourself, how often are you actually going to be be running or sprinting, but at the same time you could find a different mod, maybe another anomaly power mod or another firepower mod, just depending on how you want to run it. But preferably for me, diffuse actually does come in very handy. And yeah, so I mean, that's, again, it's all dependent on how you just want to run this build. So the best thing about this build is that it's so viable in the way of being able to be balanced between firepower and anomaly power. You could go straight firepower, or you can go straight anomaly power, and you'll still be doing tons and tons of damage with this build. So now for the weapons, we are running Absolute Zero, Ultimate Freezing Bullets, Shots Inflict Freeze on enemies, Mage's Rage, and then Till Death Do Us Part. This mod actually came in handy, or comes in handy a lot. However, I do think that there is a glitch with it where it doesn't proc all the time, so you really can't tell if it's actually working or not, because you're supposed to be tethered to an enemy, allowing for that healing and dealing damage to the enemy every half a second. However, sometimes if the golden glow isn't really there, then I'm not sure if it's actually working. So I really hope that it does get looked at, because it is a very good mod to use, especially when you are bossing, because the only enemy there really is the boss. That way you do have a little bit more survivability. This Absolute Zero rolls with crit damage, status power, and long range damage as well. And then you're going to want some sort of life leech weapon, just in case you are unable to take care of the mobs by using a crit damage or an armor piercing weapon. For me, the Imploder is a must-have. The RPMs on it, the damage it does, the Imploder is very, very, very good. It has a tier 3 mod of Deadly Disturbance, got critical shots activated on stable anomaly effect in your enemy, causing it to explode, dealing 1 million damage to other enemies within a 5-meter radius. And then we've got Mage's Rage again. Critical shots grant a 10% anomaly power bonus for 15 seconds, stacks up to 4 times. And then Strings of Gauze, probably one of the best mob clearing mods that you can get. Strings of Gauze. Shots link up to 5 enemies in a 10-meter radius of the target and deal 856,000 electrical damage to each of them. Absolutely a beast. So right now, definitely grinding for an Imploder. I would prefer an Imploder with freezing rounds, just because the freezing rounds do help kind of take care of the ad control. But an Imploder, whatever it rolls with, hopefully it rolls with something good in the 3rd mod slot, is something that you're just going to want to have, because the high RPMs on the weapon life leech, it's very good. You could also try running Voodoo Matchmaker. That's another good weapon life leech as well. But if you feel comfortable enough, you could always run Mythos. This Mythos right here is a beast of a weapon. It rolled with Ultimate Freezing Bullets in the 3rd mod slot, which was awesome. That way I have Omen and Dark Sacrifice in my top 2 mods to make it just that good. But yeah, those would be my 3 recommendations for this build. Also, what you could possibly do is, if you're running Absolute Zero, because of the freezing bullets, you could also swap out, like, let's say Dead Clock for the 16% damage to freezing enemies. The only problem with that is that when the freezing does take effect to the boss, it's literally for maybe half a second to 1 second, to where you're doing that 16% extra damage. So it's very situational, but it does come in handy for mob clear as well. So now that was the gear, that is the build right there. Let's go into the skills. So the skills, like I said, we are running Twisted Rounds, we are running Hunt the Prey, and we are running Slow Trap. I prefer Slow Trap rather than Time Rift, but you can run Time Rift if you actually prefer that rather than Slow Trap. Again, I would rather have the bubble to slow the enemies down, to not take as much damage, and to allow for all of that mitigation to go somewhere else rather than onto me, especially as a trickster. Doing close quarters combat is highly beneficial when using Slow Trap. But yeah, so either Time Rift or Slow Trap are going to be your best options. Again, remember, with Slow Trap you can't die in the bubble, so when you pop that bubble behind the Arbiter in in the first bossing or the last bossing, or in the Catacombs for that matter, and those axes are coming at you, you're not going to die. And if you have a weapon life leech, you'll see from gameplay footage at the end of this video how I stand behind the Arbiter, take the damage, don't die, but I'm using my weapon life leech to quickly regain my health back. it's a beast. Slow trap is an actual beast. You just have to know how to use it. So now for the class, we are running a hybrid of anomaly power and top tier firepower. So for the top tier firepower, we got close range weapon damage by 15% for arms trick. We're doing ace of trumps. We are doing death probability, moving down to arms trick again. We have got Deadly Shadow, which increases your critical damage by 20%. We've got Arms Trick again, cooldown, equilibrium of your movement skills, and then we have got cooldown of your deception skills. And then we are running Disruptive Firepower, activation of deception skills increases weapon damage by 35%, along with Outrider Executioner, activating a movement skill increases your weapon damage by 35%. So that's a total of 70% weapon damage if you proc both of them all at the same time, which will help you get to your 2 million crits with that. And then moving down to the bottom tree, we got the concentration node, going into resistance piercing of disturbance coding, 3 concentration nodes again, along with assault master, so increasing your assault weapon damage by 3.5% for each unlocked concentration class node. We have disturbance coding again, so increasing your resistance piercing to 20%. And then we have the 3 other concentration nodes as well. Running into the PAX tree, for the PAX tree, we are doing bottom tier PAX tree. Triggerman, your damage is increased by 15% for each skill on cooldown. We go into Cheap Shot, your class melee skill lowers damage, enemies, armor, and resistance by 30% for 5 seconds. You could do Lies of Deception. Activating deception skills grant you 50% shield every 1 second for 4 seconds, which probably might be better just because allowing you to get your shield back as quickly as possible. And if you are running Time Rift, you will constantly keep getting your shield back as well, allowing it to proc as for every second for 4 seconds. And then we got failsafe protocols. When your health drops below 30%, get 50% shield and 20% damage mitigation for 3 seconds, and whichever triggers every 10 seconds. Definitely a must-have in my opinion. You can't go anywhere else until you actually proc it, so you're kind of at the win for failsafe protocols. Then we're going to power overwhelming, increase your firepower by 40% of your anomaly power when using an assault weapon. And then we've got perpetuum trickery, critical shots increase your anomaly power by 10%, stacking up to 5 times. The stacks are consumed by the next damage skill you use. Activating damage skills increases your assault weapon damage by 50% for 7 seconds. So reiterating this again, I said this in my last video. If you took a look at it, I believe it was the Martyr build. In order for you to start stacking the high numbers of damage, you have to build up your anomaly power. So that's why when you go back into your inventory and you see that with this mod Danger Close grants a 6% anomaly power bonus for each enemy at close range, stacks up to 4 times. So you already get a stack. So let's say you got 4 enemies there, you already got a stack of 24% anomaly power. So as long as you build that anomaly power there, you're still going to be hitting high tier numbers. But if you grab 24% anomaly power, maximize that, going back into your skills or into the class tree, and then doing critical shots by 10% for 5 times, so that's 50%. So we are at currently 75% anomaly power, and then going into Mage's Rage, critical shots grant 10% anomaly power bonus for 15 seconds. So that's 40%. So we should be up to 115% anomaly power. So you are peaking at around, I think, 2.2 million anomaly power, which is going to increase the firepower of your twisted rounds. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you proc all that. Count. The best way I figure you do it is you count to 4 seconds, and then hit your twisted rounds proc, and then you should be able to hit those high numbers that you want to. This will go up to about 2.2 million, and then this should go up above 1 million. I think like 1.5 or 1.7, something close to that. But other than that, guys, and for the Ascension. So for the Ascension right now, we are running critical chance, critical damage, and damage against elites. We've got weapon leech, we've got weapon damage, we've got close range damage, and working towards armor piercing, as well as skill leech, as well as long range damage. So that is the Ascension Tree. So hopefully you guys have been using your Ascension Tree to the best of your ability, taking what you need to take first, which is, your your damage increases and your prowess as well. And then definitely do your skill leech as well. It's that way you get some healing when you are using your twisted runes. But other than that, guys, that is it. That is the build. That is everything that you need to know in order to make this build and to kind of tweak it to your liking. Now, is this the best Trespasser build? Probably not. There's probably another few mods that you can use in conjunction with this Trespasser gear set, but at the same time, this does do the job. This does get you through the Trials of Gritar. This does do fairly well in endgame content, whether it be the trials or whether it be the expeditions, whatever your fancy is. I mean, this is a beast of a gear set. You just have to know how to use it, and you just have to be very comfortable with using the skills in order to maximize your damage output, in order to maximize your damage mitigation. But again, guys, that's it. That's all I have for you. I really hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please comment down below. Tell me what you think about the Trespassers gear set. And if you've used it yet, let me know if you have created the build and if it is working for you. All right, guys, that's it. I will catch you guys around in the next video. Take care.